Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're taking a peek over here at the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market, as we have now been sitting here with the altcoin market for 1 year and 2 months waiting for this range to do something. And of course, with Bitcoin sitting down here since August 17th, it has felt the same way. And here as everyone screams for lower prices for Bitcoin. Put out a video last week showing the entire correction that has taken place here for Bitcoin and how the timing of getting above that support level, which was previously a resistance, all came really at the exact same flow as what we had back in 2015. As of right now, though, still, we just sit there meandering as we have for the last 11 days. But the price action that's been aggressive over there has been the stock market ever since late July's pullback began. Last week, we were watching this very closely as a series of higher lows still continues to be in place, and the Dow seems to have found some support coming in here. Now, we went into mass detail about this last week, that so long as these higher lows are still intact, everything is okay. And if we take a look at how things happened before the great financial crisis, and even how things happened before C19 came into play, we ended up with a series of higher lows, which every pullback would set higher lows until finally it didn't, and then things fell apart as they did in the great financial crisis. So far, all good, still in the retracements of slop, which we've definitely seen before as we get into these. And I won't spend a tremendous amount of time in this video trying to convince you of that versus Bitcoin, how important the stock market is. But as of right now, things seem to be okay. A higher low is still intact. The thing to really be mindful of would just be a double bottom. As of right now, we don't have one yet, but we have shown a nice move off the lows. One of the things I've talked about on this channel and I've talking about in my newsletter has been the overnight reverse repurchase agreements, or the overnight repo market over there at the Fed. After the peak of the market came in, money was getting parked over there at the Fed for slightly lower than the federal funds rate, or about 1/4 of a point below treasury yields. One thing we've been watching for to see reversals come in the stock market and liquidity flow back into markets has been to see money flow out of the reverse repo market, which we did notice started happening there in July, but however paused out there in late July all through August. No more money has been flowing out of the reverse repo market. As we can see, though, money finally did start flowing out of it there late last week, and new yearly lows have been set on the amount of money parked over there at the Fed flowing back to the markets, which of course that period of where the money finally started flowing happened right here on these 2 days. So a lot of people are looking for the Fed to start printing money or to quit QT and start throwing money back into the markets. The very first place likely to look for is going to be all this money parked here at the Fed, which is the most in history. So the good news is late last week, Thursday and Friday, money finally started flooding out of here. And sure enough, we see a bounce in the Dow come for the series of higher lows to continue. So good for the stock market and good for the altcoin market. Now, we've looked at the past of what happened in consolidations of the altcoin market and how similar we are currently right now to what we have done before, meandering here for a long time, still unwilling to get out of here just yet, but approaching near the end. Same capitulation structures, ABC and capitulate, ABC and capitulate. Now waiting for the altcoin market to do something. But when I was playing around with this as well, I was playing back here in 2015 and 16 and 17. And I'll put us on the daily time frame on really how funny it is when we compare this to the Dow Jones, like so. Now, I've actually gone through this many times. You guys have seen it, that once the Dow really broke out here in late November, December, and we had our 2017 bull run in crypto. The story was the same over here in 2020 and 2021. We break out, off goes crypto as well. But this is our 2017 bull run all throughout here. And I've made videos in extensive detail, newsletters in extensive detail. I've written threads over there on Twitter and X. And this is going to be that 2014, 2015 consolidation right in here, right? This is where Donald Trump wins the presidency. There's like an immediate overnight 600-point sell-off that happens in here. But then boom, off and away the market goes right back in here to go into our 2017 bull run. So the area we're looking at is all right in here, in which the market rallied rallied all the way up and then paused and ranged here for 3 to 4 years. And we could see that here with the altcoin market, and that market wasn't convinced just yet. Then it was convinced, and then it just started roaring with it. You can see how these breakouts are happening here. You actually have the Dow setting a new all-time high in here, but the real breakout to go into the bull all goes on right here, and that's where we really start going into the bull run. And of course, crypto goes along with it, and then, stops within 30 days of the stock market and the Dow Jones stopping. But again, it's one of those things where it's just very difficult to argue that the stock market is not the role player. It's not liquidity that is taking place throughout global markets that influence crypto's rise. Here we are ranging for years with the stock market until finally the stock market leaves these ranges, and then we go with it. And so something I want to show you here when it comes to like the overnight reverse repurchase agreements over there at the Fed, as you can see over here, money started coming into this overnight lending market here back in like December of 2013. That is where Bitcoin peaks. Right back there in December of 2013, and goes off into a bear as the overnight lending market is starting to ramp up and money is getting parked over there at the Fed. This continues all the way here until really kind of peaking out over here in December of 2016. Then the trajectory of leaving is in play. But like December of 2016, right? What were we just talking about? Like, when does Bitcoin go firing to go back to its all-time high? Right here in December of 2016. When is the stock market going in for its breakout? Here in November and December of 2016. And so seeing the trend down, look, we see this thing trending down the whole time as we're going into the 2017 bull run, until we almost get all the way back down. And so when we head over here to 2021, you can see, when does the money start flying in here? It starts in April of 2021, April and May. Hey, where is all the euphoria in the market and coming to an end? Here in April and May of 2021. We've shown in all the underlying data, where you're looking at on-chain, or you're looking at indicators here in the crypto market, or indicators here in the charts on large time frames. It all points to that this was the peak of the market back in here. And this is where the money is all going into reverse repo. And so what we're now starting to see is we're starting to see the unwinding begin. And we saw the timing of it show up right into the dip for the most recent breakdown in the overnight lending market. And like this whole move down here that breaks this year-long support right in here, right? When is this all happening? June and July here in 2023. It breaks the year-long support, June and July. What do we have happening in broader markets in June and July? That's all of this right here for the stock market. It's where we go breaking through all the retracement levels here for the Dow, breaking through all retracements here for the S&P, and breaking through all retracements here for the NASDAQ, all taking place as the overnight lending market with the Fed is dwindling down. And then it pauses all through late July and the entire month of August until just now, right at the conclusion of that dip, as if we are right in here building our series of higher lows. So I don't see any reason to be terrified of the markets right now. I would think once this thing gets pretty drained, and there's not much left in here to still flood into the market, yeah. But in each of these circumstances, what we keep seeing is we keep seeing like 5 waves before this thing comes to a complete conclusion, and then boom, down we go. But what it would point to is like what happened on Thursday and Friday is the beginning phases of the next big phase, which is the euphoria moment. And so I approach these markets from that viewpoint, that like it's all this big liquidity flood that happens throughout all of markets, and then that piles into crypto at the exact same time. And so we talk about these things with like the altcoin market as well, which of course we know is tied to Bitcoin too, but we're talking about the altcoins in here, is that if this phase is up next, this is the best chance for the altcoin market. And if like nothing happens to the altcoin market during this phase and nothing happens to Bitcoin, that's probably a bad sign. But structurally, we're set up to go do something like this so long as we maintain these higher lows. And while everybody's screaming and worrying that Bitcoin's going to break down lower now, the liquidity paused throughout the second half of July and through all of August. And the liquidity started up just last Thursday and Friday. And I don't think anybody has noticed. But while the whole market like sits in fear right now, everybody's screaming for breaking supports and going to 12K right now. Well, you don't have that setup happening over here in the stock market. You have liquidity coming back into markets. And still, supports are still holding in here. I've seen lots of discussion on 22K, 23.5K, just on the chat in my morning live streams. But based on what we saw happen in the stock market late last week as buyers came in here, I actually think we're okay. Again, like if this is how it plays out, then like we're talking 2023 is the year of excitement, which is definitely not on most people's radar. They're all playing with the 4-year cycles, block reward having stuff, but that this would come much sooner than most people think. And then also the end would come much sooner than most people think. So I'm actually pretty optimistic for the remainder of the year right now. That would change in a flash if we actually ended up seeing the Dow Jones break below 33,600. But it's hard not to look at it from this perspective. And I mean, if you're not in the camp of stock market and crypto going together, then you're just not gonna believe no matter what. But I see this, I see the higher lows, I see the structural setup happening in here, and then I see the money flowing out of the repo market, and we know that all retracement levels got broken there for all of the major indexes the second we started taking out this year-long support over here. This is the break of all retracement levels. This is the pause through the second half of July and all of August. Here we go again. And while everybody is screaming for lower on Bitcoin, I'm over here looking at the stock market. Because if you think I'm even crazy with all this Fed stuff, overnight lending market, we could see right in here, right? Where do we really gain some steam happening in here with the overnight lending, which is sitting at 0? It starts taking off. You can see that then this market really gets stalled out at that exact same moment. Dim that down for us a little bit, but you could see the trajectory that's happening as this market is ripping. Then the overnight lending market opens. We totally change direction in here. Then kerplunk, overnight lending market tops out. Market starts to recover. Overnight lending stuck on top of $2 trillion from June to June. Overnight lending market breaks down as liquidity leaves the Fed, heading back to markets. And that is when we go for the breakouts. Then we could see that it pauses out in here. As it pauses, what happens? No new liquidity flooding in. It stalls. The Dow breaks down as the stall continues, and then we get to the bottom, liquidity floods back in and leaves the Fed. So if you needed some fundamental reason to see the things that I see, here I am showing you the correlation between the money that is parked over there at the Fed. Everybody's looking for QE. They're looking for the Fed to pump up markets. Look, this thing has to drain out first before any of that can happen. There's still a ton of it over in there. We saw it finally break a year-long support, and then we saw all indexes break all of their retracement levels, and then it got stuck and stalled throughout all of the second half of July and into August. And then when we just had that big dip back there on Thursday and Friday, the market piled in. The money left the Fed, and we're up 500 points since then. And so, hate it or love it, we're paying attention to the stock market. Even XRP holders, hate it or love it, man. You can see it there, right? Where does XRP peak? It peaks once liquidity starts leaving the markets. Then what happens all throughout here? Stock market stuck. XRP stuck, liquidity flows back into markets, stock market, XRP. I get it, the ruling, but you see it. It's just stuck at the same periods, and you see the events unfolding of where the liquidity runs out in the market at the same time as liquidity is leaving and going to the Fed. So I know this shatters dreams out there of narratives, but what I'm trying to build the whole case to say is, look, man, it looks like there's like something coming. It looks like there's something coming. Liquidity is coming back. So quit being such doomers out there, guys. I think that's the point, because there will be a time for doom. It just doesn't look like we're there yet. And I do understand not everybody subscribes to, what I think about the market, and that's totally fine. I mean, this is just educational content for you to try to get some more info on the market. And I'm just showing you here how the stock market and how crypto go hand in hand. So many people credit 4-year cycles and they credit block reward halvings. I'm here to say, I don't think that's what causes the price to rise. I think it is liquidity in markets, and it's the broader markets moving together. So I come here expressing the things that I see in the market. I see liquidity entering, and I see the potential for a bigger run to happen here in the stock market in order for it to attempt a 4.236 extension of the great financial crisis, which ended up being how high the roaring 20s went before the Great Depression started. This is also precisely what the top of Bitcoin looked like. And we all saw Bitcoin went on and set one more height along with Ethereum to go touch that 4.236 and roll over. And I think we're seeing signs in there that are favorable for that to happen so long as the current lows in the Dow Jones do hold. So we can look for just higher lows to end up showing up in here and hoot and holler for higher lows. But is there anything else happening underneath the hood to make it so that these prices could rise up in the stock market to then give crypto a push? And if you're looking for liquidity, there's a bunch of it sitting over there in the reverse repo market. We could see as the money left the reverse repo market, where did it go? You see it yourself right here. As it paused, what happened? Market pulls back. But just in the last 2 days, finally, it has started going again. So buckle up. We'll keep our eyes on it. Wanted to show you this macro perspective that I have on the markets, why the stock market matters, why we'll be paying attention to it, and the optimistic, favorable signs that we currently see right now happening out there. Because I'll even leave you with this one right here with Bitcoin versus the reverse repo market. What happens when the reverse repo market gets going? That's it. What happens after the reverse repo hits its top and starts pulling off of its top? Bitcoin comes off of its bottom. Zooming in on it even more, breaks down, Bitcoin breaks up. It stalls the whole time that the liquidity is stalled. Bitcoin stalls and breaks. There you have it. Liquidity pouring out of the reverse repo. So I think the day to be a doomer will be there. I just don't think we're there today. I think we have a lot of signs that are pointing more favorably towards liquidity coming into the markets before anything crazy ends up happening. So I'll quit rambling at that point. I wanted to show you all of that information that's happening out there currently right now, that correlation between the stock market and the cryptocurrency market, and the correlation between the reverse repo market and equities and crypto. And that while everybody is super bearish right now on markets in the short-term time frame, what we actually just saw was money pour out of the reverse repo right there at the bottom of the stock market there on Thursday and Friday. And of course, we saw a nice big bounce there happen on Friday, and we're seeing that continuation happening here on Monday. So we won't do a whole video on reverse repo again probably this week, but we may take quick little glimpses at it every once in a while just to see if that liquidity is still moving out of the Fed. But as you could see, it was really just paused there all through late July and through all of August, and we just didn't see really any action happen in equities or in the crypto market during that time. But now we see it coming. So we'll keep an eye on it. Otherwise, I hope that was educational for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you're looking for something to do, of course, you could check out my website over here, which is bcbacker.com. This is over 40 videos and over 11 hours of educational content that I put together, talking about charts, setting up your own charts in TradingView and CoinTrader Pro, talking about the historical behavior of the cryptocurrency market, teaching you about patterns, Wyckoff method, Elliott wave theory, historical behavior of the market, and a lot of stuff that I've learned when it comes to research, percentages, tokenomics, and market caps, crowd behavior, and of course, the most important of them all, emotional management. You can check that out over here on bcbacker.com. Otherwise, I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Here we go. Let's kick off this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.